Hey guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel today. Today I am going to share something a little bit different with you. I was getting ready to print some sentiments and images from my silhouette to use on some Halloween projects that I'm going to be working on. And a lot of you have asked about that process. And so I thought I would kind of bring you along on this little adventure as I was tackling that task today. So I am in my silhouette software, and this is essentially the cutting mat, and it's also your little design guide. So I'm just going to try and zoom in a little bit, but whenever I print from my silhouette, I usually print on just a standard letter size 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. So I'm in the page setup here, which is this little paper icon at the top on my menu on the right-hand side. And I'm just going to choose letter, and that changes my cutting mat. So when I'm adding images here, I know I'm staying within that boundary. And when I print, I also just usually print on standard 65-pound cardstock. It doesn't need to be thick. It's not going to be a card base. It's just going to be an element on the card. And 65-pound works fine for this for me. So I am going to go up here into my library, and this is where all of the designs that I have purchased and downloaded from the Silhouette store, this is where I can access all of those. And I have my library broken down by category. This is how I tend to look for things the most. And I have a category that's fall, Halloween, and Thanksgiving. And so this is, where I know I can come and find a Halloween image that I would like to use. So these are all ones that I have already purchased and download. There's kind of a variety of items. I think I'm going to work with this one today. It says, wishing you happy Halloween. And when I double click on it, it brings it here into my design space. And I want to size it down a little bit for right now. And in order to make it easier to see, I'm going to come over here on the right-hand side menu. Again, there's like a little paint palette. And I click on that, and I can add a color to my image. And for this one, I'm just going to leave it black because there's a couple different projects I might use it on. I'm working on, my 12 by 12 pad, which is Pinkaboo, and so it's more of pastels, but then I'm also working on some other miscellaneous projects that are more brighter colors. So I'm just gonna go with a black color. You can change colors, like just for example, if I wanted to make the hat purple or leave the hat black and make the words purple, I can right click on my image, ungroup, and I'm going to have to do that again. Oh, maybe I can't ungroup this one. There we go. So I can come and change. If I wanted that purple, I can change just individual things purple, or change the color on individual things if I wanted to as well. But like I said, for this one, I'm just going to leave it black. So I'm going to regroup everything just so it's one image. Okay, so the next thing I do once I find my image and I get the colors worked out, I want to size it down. So this one I might make, it's kind of more square. So right now it's about 3.5 by 3.5. And that might be okay. Maybe we'll go 3.25-ish. So I would size it down to the size I want, and then also on this right-hand menu, there's a way that you can kind of like duplicate rather than having to copy and paste. This little, what looks like a butterfly over here, opens a replicate menu. And if I have my image selected, I can just copy it right over. And so let's say I wanted to make 4 of these. And I want to leave enough space that I can cut out around it. And then, so I have some space down here that I could add another image if I want. And this one I've already done because I always want to make the most of my paper, so I always try and fill the whole page if I can. So this one's a little smaller. See if we can get 3 of these across here. And then there's a little bit of space over here. So I would like to use that too if I could. But what I'm going to do here is create my own little sentiment. So I clicked on the A over on the left side of my screen this time, and that is for text. And so once I click on that, I can click anywhere on the screen and type. And I am just going to type Happy Halloween. And then I click on that to select it. And then I'm going to come over to the A on the right side of my screen, and that is for font. Actually, we're going to change the color first just so you can see it. Okay. So in the font, these are fonts that any font that is installed on my hard drive shows up in my Silhouette. And then there are also some fonts that I have purchased through the Silhouette design store. So I just need to find a font that I would like to use. And this is always what takes me the longest when I'm creating something, is trying to pick a font that I want to use. Because I tend to go through like almost every font. Like, is this the one I like? Is this the one I like? That one's kind of cute. So sometimes what I'll do is if I find a font I like, then I will copy and paste it or replicate it and keep one in that font that I like. And then that way I can work on a copy of it and continue to see if I can find other fonts that I might like. Oh, I kind of like the story time. It's like a little, almost if I were hand lettering. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with that one instead of the first one I did. And now I want to size it out. So I'm using my grid here on the cutting mat image on my screen. And so I can tell if I click on it, it tells me it's 4.473 inches long by 0.616 inches wide. So it's just shy of 5 inches, and I want it way shorter, way smaller than that. So now it's about 2 1/4, just over 2 1/4 by 1/4. So now that I have that little saying designed and sized, I want to move it up here so that it can print in this dead space, this white space that's open over here. So there is a menu, or over on the right hand side menu, if I go back to that butterfly, which is replicate, I can either take this little green dot and turn it myself, or if I don't want to have to fuss with getting it lined up just right, I can click on this rotate copies and it'll rotate it 1/4 of a turn and make it sideways for me. And that is exactly what I want. And so I just want to get it in the space that I want it, and I'm going to copy that down. And then I can get 3 on there, maybe. Okay. So these are the images, and I have space here, but I'm not going to worry about it because by the time I cut out these 2 individual designs, there won't be that much space left there. I might move those guys down in it. Okay, so that is what I'm going to print. And so then what I would do is come up, and instead of, normally you would send it to your Silhouette. You'd come over here and you'd click send, and that would send it to your Silhouette machine. But what I'm going to do is come in and send it to my printer. So when I hover over the printer up here at the top left, it says send to printer. And I have mine set up to show me a preview of what it will print like. And so it shows me the preview, and then I just click print, and then I want to choose my printer. So I have a standard size printer, or, you know, like a normal printer, and it does print black and white and color, but the color is not great. And so I also have a wide format printer where I can print 12 by 12 for when I need to print out pattern paper. And so I tend to use that. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to go ahead and go with my black and white printer, because my color printer doesn't print great, just black and white. It's not as crisp as my normal black and white printer. Okay, and then once I have my printer selected, I can click print. And it takes a bit to load. It's not as quick as when you send something to your Silhouette. And so then once that loads, it sends it to my printer, and I will go grab it from my printer and then show you how it came out. Okay, then this is how it came out. I grabbed it off my printer, and you can see it printed nice and crisp. And now I have several different sizes and types of sentiments that I can use on the projects that I'm going to be working on these next several days. And like I said, you can change color. You can, as long as you have a color printer, you could make these in color, and you know, you can make them, you can print, if you have a wide format printer, you can print on a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. I've printed on white, I've printed on cream, and I've printed on craft, and they all come out fine. I've not tried to print like white ink on black yet, but that is something that you could do as well if you wanted a chalkboard effect for something. But this is all, and then now all I have to do is come in and take my trimmer and trim out my sentiments or my images, and they're ready to go on my projects. So hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing this process, and hopefully it answered some questions for you on how I use my Silhouette for getting, you know, sentiments. A lot of times I have quite a bit of stamps, but it never seems to be the right stamp that I want to use for a particular project, or like I don't have a ton of Halloween stamps. And so sometimes it's just cheaper, because I have my Silhouette already, it's just cheaper for me to go and use my Silhouette to create a sentiment or image or embellishment or something like that, and then print it out, than it is for me to go buy a stamp, and especially if it's something that I'm only going to use like one time. But almost anymore, I just choose to use my Silhouette. If I know if I'm making a large batch of things, then I will just print out a whole large batch of sentiments, rather, and that saves me time from having to come in and stamp everything. But usually if I'm just making like a one-off card, or if I just need one sentiment for something, stamping is still easier and more convenient. But it's nice having the options anyway, especially like if you already have a Silhouette or a Cricut. You can do the same thing in the Cricut, I'm sure. I just am not familiar with that process, their design process. But if you already have something, you know, a die cut machine like this, an electronic die cut machine, then you can also use it for printing images as well. If you don't have a Silhouette and you don't, or a Cricut, you can also go into Word or Photoshop or Canva or any design, you know, whatever program you are most comfortable designing in. And you can also just, you know, I used to do that too in Word a lot. I would just create a sentiment, you know, and choose my font. It was just harder to get sizing in Word, where here I like the grid, knowing exactly, or it tells me exactly how big my image is. That is one thing that I like about using my Silhouette as opposed to Word. But I used to use Word all the time. Before I had a lot of stamps and before I had my Silhouette, I would create sentiments in Word and then, you know, print them out in the same manner. And again, in Word, I could still choose color, I could choose font, I could choose, different sizes, just a matter of, you know, trying to gauge the size. The only thing when I was using Word, I couldn't get some of the fun images that I can get with my Silhouette because I've already purchased these. So anyway, hopefully this helps and it gives you an idea of how I do it. It gives you an idea of maybe how you could use either your software, whatever you might have, to get some more stamps, types, images. And if you don't have stamps, then it could be a great money saver just using your computer to generate those. If I've not explained anything very well or left anything out that you have questions on, or if you just have questions on, you know, more detail of anything, please be sure to let me know that. I'd be happy to answer it. And if I need to do another video to help re-explain something or show a piece of it in more detail, I am happy to do that as well. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you're all having a crafty day.